Joe, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thanks. So just can you take us through just the emotions of after the missing the 51-yarder at the end of the first half, just off the upright, and then the high of drilling the 51-yarder when the team needed it most in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, of course. Coming out for that 52-yarder, 51-yarder before the half, I thought I had it. Once I kicked it, it was going straight down the middle, and I almost started celebrating, and then it started drifting to the left, and then it hit the upright, and then I was devastated. I didn't talk to anyone in the locker room at halftime. Came back out, started warming back up, and just to get another opportunity for the same kick, and then being able to drill it through. I mean, the emotions were really high, especially when our team needed it. So that was just awesome.
And then just building on that, how beneficial is it to you just to know how much confidence not only Coach Loxley has in you, but the rest of the team when they send you out for a big kick in a pivotal situation like that?
That means the world to me. Last year under Coach Locks, his first year, I didn't have my best year, so a little worried about his confidence in me. So just knowing that him as well as the players have the confidence in me now, it means the world to me. I feel like I can go out there and they'll have my back either way.
Thank you.
Go to David Jones.
Hi, Joseph. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, we've had a lot of good kickers I've covered here at Penn State, but all of them, it seems like almost all of them, have had real confidence problems earlier in their career, and then they've turned into NFL kickers. How do you describe to people who will never know what you go through what the internal mind games are like of a kicker, because you're not involved in the game, and all of a sudden you're the focus of the game?
Yeah. So that's a really big part of it, the mindset. Because when the team's rushing down the field, like charging in the field goal range, immediately I start getting butterflies because I know it's either going to end in a field goal or an extra point. So I know I'm going to be out there, and just the nerves, especially walking out onto the field. Not this year because not everybody's in the stands, but normally everybody all eyes on me. So it's a lot of pressure. But just the feeling afterwards makes it all worth it.
How do you deal with it? How do you control that within your head?
I just try to keep a neutral mindset. Just if I make it, I try. Well, I did celebrate a lot on the last one, but just try to whatever it is, go on to the next play. Beforehand, I just keep telling myself, you've been in this position a million times. You've made this kick a million times. Just go out there and do your job.
Thanks.
Go to Emily.
Hey, Joseph. After the 51-yarder, you obviously, like you mentioned, were celebrating quite a bit. What was going through your mind in that moment?
Just relief. Just because I missed the first one, and I knew it was going to be a close game, so I knew I had to be on the top of my game. And missing that first one, it really set me back a little bit. But and then once I kicked the second one, I knew it was going in, and I didn't even wait for the referee to judge that it was in. I just started running the sidelines and celebrating with my teammates.
Sorry. And are you aware, I know you're aware of the score, but when you know that making it turns it into a one-score game, it's obviously very different when it's late in the game. Is that something you think about or adds to the pressure?
Yeah, no, I definitely think about that because I know how it feels to the offense going out on the field, in the fourth quarter, knowing they're only down by one score rather than two. I know how that feels in their head. And just it puts up a lot of confidence in the whole team, in the defense and the offense, just knowing we just got to put one more up. So.
And then I was just about to ask overarching, coming into this season after last year where, you just didn't really even have a lot of opportunities to kick field goals in games. What were your goals and expectations kind of heading into this season, hoping probably for something a little different than last year?
Yeah, so for this season, I definitely want to be 100% on all field goals, 40 yards and in. And then I want to be 80% on all field goals outside of that. Because I know once they get pretty long, the chances are a little bit lower, but I still want to be consistent no matter what the range is.
Go to Shane.
Hey, Joseph, I'm Shane Connor, currently with the Diamondback. So you earlier touched on that. You said that, with playing with no fans in the stands on Friday, it felt like all eyes were on you. Now, as a kicker, how difficult was it that you just didn't have those fans there, especially with the way you were saying you were celebrating and all that? How tough was it to really not have fans there?
It definitely is a little adjustment because after the kicks are good, the energy in the fan in the crowds is usually electric, and it adds to the whole team's momentum. So it was a little different, but we were all there for each other. Like, we didn't need fans. We were all celebrating with each other more than we could ever imagine. So we just kind of made up for it with each other.
What about in the beginning when the team you ran out of the shell in the beginning and you guys flew down the field? Some of the players actually sprinted all the way down by where the student section normally is. Obviously, there were some cardboard cutouts there, and that moment itself, you guys are coming out there at home for the first time on a Friday night, nonetheless, under the lights. Was that just kind of bizarre for you?
No, it definitely was. The last time we did that was Penn State last year. And we had a full stands at the very beginning of the game. So it was a little different coming out last Friday night to no fans. But, the energy was there. We had a great week of practice. We were all so ready for this game. So it was just awesome.
Appreciate it, Joseph.
Go to Ed.
Joseph, last year, I believe you attempted 5 field goals, made 2 of them. What prevented you from getting more opportunities? Was it the offense not being able to drive? I know you dealt with some injuries as well.
Yeah, so against Temple last year, I actually hurt my left groin. So that not only hurt my actual performance ability, but my confidence as well, because I didn't know if I was going to go out there and if my groin was going to start hurting at any point in time. So that definitely contributed towards it. And as far as not getting the opportunities, I would just say a lot of it had to do with, offense not driving down into field goal range, but also if we were down, and we did get in field goal range, if we were down by a little bit at the end of the games, we typically wouldn't go for a field goal because if we need points. So that's also some missed field goal opportunities, but yeah.
Mike said towards the end of regulation that he was trying to get the offense down to the 35, setting you up for probably would have been a 52 or 53-yard field goal. What do you think would have been the extent of your range?
Yeah, we judge it every day, every game day. I go out with a special teams coach, and we'll go out and kick and see how I feel comfortable depending on the wind going each way. And so typically, ideally, I want it to be comfortably the 35, which would make it a 52. But if it's the end of half, if we need points, if it's a really tough scenario, then I would push it back to, I would say 55, 56, around there.
So does that apply to Friday night towards the end of regulation against Minnesota?
Yeah, I was Friday night I was prepared to hit upwards of 55.
Thank you.
Lila.
Hey, Joseph. Were there specific things that you try to work on or kind of tune up to improve this offseason? And, how is that process impacted, if at all, by just, accessibility with the pandemic?
So a lot of things that I focused on during the offseason, I was just focusing on being more consistent with my field goals because that was an issue last year. And we have Coach Zook here. He's one of the most experienced guys I know. He's been working with me. The main thing he tells me is to always keep my head down because I tend to pick my head up after the kick and watch it go in or not go in. But it helps a lot if I just keep my head down and follow through. So that's one thing that we've been working on a lot. Just adding height to my kicks to make sure they don't get blocked. And I wouldn't say that I guess the pandemic at the very beginning, it did hurt the offseason a little bit because when I was back home, fields were locked. I wasn't able to kick on field goal posts. But once we got up here, I was training like crazy. I just wanted to be ready.
Were there certain things you did to kind of get creative during that time when you didn't have access to the field?
I mean, I would just go anywhere. I would go in my backyard, just kick like on walls, on nets, random nets that I would find. If it's like a baseball field that was open. I mean, I did occasionally hop fences to get on the fields. Just stuff like that, just finding little things, little ways. I'd be in my house doing like kicks without the balls just to stay on top of my game and keep everything fresh.
Thank you.
Go to Varun.
Hey, Joseph, who was the first guy you saw when you got back on the sideline after making the 51-yarder?
Man, I'd probably have to see the video. I know Anthony Pecorella, he's always like the first one to run out for anything. So it could have been him, but I honestly couldn't tell you because, I mean, I was just so excited and just running around, not looking at faces, just hugging everybody. We're just hitting each other. It was just, I couldn't tell you, honestly, who exactly it was.
Michael Ferrara.
Hey, Joseph, thanks for taking the time today. 2 questions for you. The first one, at the end of the Minnesota game, what was going through your mind?
At the end, I mean, I was just in the kicking nets on the sideline, just practicing and making sure I was ready for whatever happened. And then I was actually in the kicking net when they were taking their extra point, which I assumed we were going to a second overtime. So I was just making sure I was ready for that. And then while I was kicking, I was facing away from where they were kicking. And then I saw everybody running onto the fields and everybody was screaming. And I didn't even know he missed it. I didn't even watch it. And so that was just crazy.
And then my second question for you, you kicked the 51-yard, and then I don't know if you noticed during the Penn State-Ohio State game, their kicker, Jordan Snout, correct? If I say that name wrong, I apologize. He kicked a 50 field goal. Does that kind of like excite you, seeing like the other kicker kicking in the 50s range? Like, all right, it's kind of a competition, kind of gives you a little bit of excitement for the game this weekend?
Yeah, it does, because I know the kickers that they have at Penn State. I know they're really good. They're always really good. So just having that 51 under my belt and knowing that like I'm competing with some of the top guys in the country, in the conference, it is exciting.
Thank you.
For our last one, we'll go back to David Jones.
Joseph, a couple of the kickers I was talking about from Penn State, I wonder if you'd ever heard of these guys, because place kickers commonly are sort of a fraternity. They have a certain association, usually Robbie Gould and Sam Ficken, because they had very difficult early careers at Penn State. And of course, now they're in the NFL. Gould has been might even be a Hall of Famer. Who knows?
Yeah, I haven't, because prior to coming here, I played soccer my whole life. I didn't keep up with football. So like especially in the Big Ten, because I'm from Georgia. So if I did keep up with football, it would have been in the SEC. So, I didn't keep up with these guys in their college careers. But I mean, that is awesome knowing that they had rough starts, but they were able to make it into the league.
Do you keep track of other kickers now that you?
Yeah, I definitely keep track with other kickers now. I have relationships with a bunch of them. We follow each other on like all social platforms. We talk to each other after the games. So that's really nice.
What is it about that? Why do place kickers do that maybe more than other types of football players?
Probably because, I mean, we just have so much pressure and a lot of things can go wrong, like whether we make it or miss it. A lot of people, like all eyes on us, where like people can hate us. So it's just, we kind of got to be there for each other no matter what happens, through the good and the bad. Because we all know the pain of missing field goals. And we all know the excitement after making important ones. So just being there for each other it's really important.
Sorry to go on and on. This is it. But I imagine you had some empathy about the Minnesota kicker when you found out what happened.
Oh, of course I did. When I turned around and saw that he did miss it, I was obviously excited at first, but just thinking of how he's feeling, how people feel towards him right now, it definitely holds a special place in my heart.
Thanks, Joseph.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, guys.